Hi, my name is Debra R. Richardson of Debra R. Richardson LLC, and I work with you to help you clean up your vendor data, clean up your vendor processes so that you pay the right vendor. Now, this week's Vendor Master File tip of the week is why non-U.S. vendors submit an IRS W-9 and how to tell if they're non-U.S. Well, the reason I think that they submit a W-9 is just because, maybe if you have your internal team members giving them the information or the forms that they need to submit to get set up, they just complete whatever those team members give them. They don't know that they need to submit a W-9, especially if they're in Canada, because for some reason, I get that question a lot, and those are vendors that are actually in Canada. So I think that it's just because they don't know any better and they either downloaded your requirement for the W-9, assumed it was for them, or they were given the form to fill out by either someone on your team or the internal team member in error. But here's some ways that if you or your team receives it, that they can tell that they are non-US. One is you can look for the presence of a foreign corporate indicator in their name, such as PLC. Now, each country can have a different way to identify a corporation. In the US, we have incorporated. In London or the United Kingdom, they have PLC. At least I think that's right. I'm not really good with my geography, but there's PLC, there's AG, there's INC, right? So the IRS actually does have a form or a publication that identifies what those foreign corporate indicators are by country. And I'm going to leave a link to that in the description. So make sure you click it if you want to download it for future use. The second thing is the address, right? The address on the W-9 is a non-US address. So that's another way. And this, by the way, is the picture of a famous pub in London, and it's called the 10 Bells. I've never been there, but if you have, I'd love to hear from you. The third one is the employer identification number, or EIN, begins with a 98, and that's because the online form to request an EIN, it's the IRS's SS4 form, used to assign non-US vendors an EIN that started with 98. They don't do that anymore, but those vendors that obtained their EIN prior to the IRS stopping that practice still has the 98. So the absence of a 98 doesn't mean that they're not a U.S. vendor or not a non-U.S. vendor, but the presence of a 98 means that they are most likely a non-U.S. vendor. Now, if you want some other information on what to look for rather when accepting your vendor's W-8 Ben and W-8 Benny forms, because those are the most, you probably get those more than the other types of forms, then I will leave a link to this essential training session that I do on the first Wednesday of every month. I do it live, or you can watch anytime on demand. All right, so if you'd like more information on how to improve your vendor process, please go to my website at debrarrichardson.com for free tools and resources to avoid fraud, regulatory fines, and just overall bad vendor data. And if you would like over 115 annual hours, it's actually 149 annual hours of training for you or your vendor team, check out the Vendor Process Training Center at training.debrarrichardson.com. So good luck, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified next Tuesday for the next Vendor Master File tip of the week.